got BBB here with Adam. I'm going to say Gair. I was going to pronounce it like the announcer at the last one, but I'll let you off for that. How are you doing anyway? You alright, mate?
Not bad, mate, not bad.
Another one. I feel like I'm just rattling through the same sorts of questions out on the MTK show. Got your t-shirt on there, repping.
Repping.
But you're buzzing, are you?
Just looking forward now. I'm enjoying getting into the pros, you know what I mean? I haven't tried to blast anyone out or rush in or get overexcited. I'm just slowly letting myself get into it.
Has that been a conscious decision from you and Dave and obviously the team?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people look at records and they just look and think, right, you've won this many, you haven't stopped anyone, or you haven't looked but what they don't consider is the opponents you're in there, the tough men, they're not there to be stopped. How difficult has it been, not just piling in and looking to get them out?
Peter's probably heard in between the rounds and that, in how much way I've caught them and I'd maybe steaming again. I've heard Dave shouting back to your boxing, so you're coming back off and going back long, going back with your jab, and where maybe you were opened up. If you open up with these fellas, the only things you're going to do is break your hands. Do you know what I mean? I'm not too bothered about knocking people out at this stage. You know what I mean? It's with the 50-50s when you're fighting someone who's coming to beat you. That's when you want to be knocking them out. You know what I mean? These fights is all about the rounds and picking up experience, which I think in them 4 fights I've had, I've learned so much. Do you know what I mean? And developed as a fighter a lot in them fights, just through getting the rounds in. And maybe it's when I've hurt someone, just stepping off and just having a look and just setting that back up again. Do you know what I mean? And letting them come at me a little bit and catching them on the way, and just little things like that. I just feel like I benefit massively from, instead of just going in, putting them in the ropes, curling them in the ball, and just blasting them until the referee jumps in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that almost surprised me a little bit, because that's a really mature, sort of well thought out way to go into it. And is that something that's been taught to you from when you turned over, and that right, we're not going to charge in? Are there certain things in fights that you're looking to work on in particular? Or is that a technical thing, or?
Definitely, because towards the end of the amateurs meet, it was me and Steve, and it was always a case of, don't let them, if you're boxing down the road or in the championships, don't let them take it away from you. You know what I mean? Don't complain you're robbed. You punch them harder, stop them. Do you know what I mean? So it was always, I was going in the amateurs literally like a bull with seeing a red flag. You know what I mean? I was in, and I was one thing on my mind: stop them or knock them out or whatever. Make sure that the judges can't take it away from me. So when I turned over with Dave and that, it was all just right. Let's box. Let's keep it long. Let's win the rounds.
It's a total shift in mentality, that, and it going from the result being everything to actually, this is what we need to do. We need to improve. We need to learn.
Box. Do you know what I mean? And develop as a fighter.
And how many more fights do you think you've got in that sort of sense of developing and progressing?
This next one, it's all with these opponents as well. Some of them come to have a fight with you. My debut was a really, really good fighter who come to fight us and he come to win. Do you know what I mean? Even all of them have. Do you know what I mean? But he, out of them all, he started us because he was when you're in there and you can feel it, he was wanting to win as well. Do you know what I mean? And we had a bit better fight for that. The last fight I had at the Hilton, as soon as I start landing shots, I could feel him just curling the ball, and I just thought, it doesn't really, to be honest, you were seeing the fight, I didn't really after 2 rounds, I kind of just cruised to the last round, but at the same time, I was just working and setting little combinations up we've been working on, and I think the more someone tries to have a go at me, I think it'll show, I'll come out a bit more, do you know what I mean? It'll bring me on it'll show my side where the stoppages will come and things like that when people do have a go at us. Do you know what
I mean? That because obviously they leave gaps and there's things you can exploit rather than just
and it's all
a punch bag essentially.
Yeah, and it feels disrespectful saying that about an opponent, but that's the way some of them men make their living. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, and I think again most of our viewers and listeners are aware of how it works, but some might not be. So it's interesting to hear you saying as that home fighter, the frustrations you have with almost the model of boxing and at that level, isn't it? Some of them, it's in their interest just to go the 4 rounds.
They just want to survive, but for me, it's been happy days. You know what I mean? I've been thinking, right then, but you'll get some of them. You'll throw a jab and they'll put the head like that, and you think, bang! You're hitting them on top of the head, and if you look at my hands to start with, they're like candy floss. You know what I mean? So I'm hitting them on top of the head, or I'm going for the body shot, and just last minute he's turned the elbows out, and you're whacking the elbows. Your hands is numb after 2 rounds. You know what I mean? So some of them do try and survive and do dirty tactics, you know what I mean? But that's their way of earning a living, and that's what they need to ensure, that they go the distance. So it's like a catch-22 situation. You know
it's all part of your learning as well, though. Those little things there you're picking up on that you maybe 4 fights ago weren't aware of necessarily.
And then if I go into, say, I don't know, a northern area or some sort of title fight where it's 10 rounds, 12 rounds, 8 rounds, whatever it is, and I go out there and I think, right, I'm going to jump, and I've blasted all these out in 2 rounds. I think, right, I'm going to jump on these, and I'm in with a good lad, and he just I just catch his elbow with my fist, or I catch him on top of the head and my hands is hurting or whatever, and I think, I've got another 6 rounds here, I can't feel my hands, do you know what I mean? So it's all about development and improving as a fighter, I think, and I feel like as if me and Dave and like Steve and Tom and everyone, we're just starting to like get rolling now, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not being like, oh, look at him, he's turned pro, he's knocked 4 out, do you know what I mean? It's been like, oh, he's not knocked anyone out or anything. And I'm not daft, do you know what I mean? I know people will be saying that, but at the same time, I know where I'm going and I'm happy with what I've been doing.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing. You and your team are happy with that progression. You've mentioned, obviously, just briefly, a Northern Area title perhaps down the line, or these 50-50 fights. Is there anyone in particular that you're thinking could be put in there? Because you're competing at cruiserweight, or
there's other cruiserweights like in the Northeast. I don't want to start saying I want to fight this one, that one, or because I think we all know each other, we've sparred each other, we've boxed each other, or whatever. And I think them fights, as long as like, you see, I'm not going to like say, but you see other situations where fighters have gone and fought for a Northern Area title and they couldn't pay the rent with what they've fought for. Do you know what I mean? And they've maybe got beat, or they've done something like that, or whatever. And when they sit and look back, they'll think, like, I've spoken to some lads who's fought for like Northern Area titles with no person, they've been like, I shouldn't have done that. Do you know what I mean? I got absolutely nothing for it, and like, I don't even think you get the belt after you fought for it. So whatever, as far as I'm concerned, like, that's why I've signed with MTK. Once I get up to that level, it's got to make sense, like financially wise. If you talk like Dave Allen, if you look at him, he's like I look at him and like people say, oh, he's not the best, he's lost, he's done this, he's bought houses out of boxing. Do you know what I mean? He's like set up his future. So for a fighter, there's not many other things most fighters are good at other than fighting. Do you know what I mean? Or boxing. So after boxing, you want to try and have something waiting. Say, I've bought a house, or I've paid half a house off, or do you know, something along them lines. So like, if it's all good and well saying yes, Northern Area title fight, but if them fights happen, it's got to make financial sense as well as career sense as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fascinating again that you're sort of saying that, because I think with the sort of recent, I don't know, increase in access and exposure that people are getting to boxers, there's a lot more people thinking like that in terms of the realistic side of it, the security side of it as well. Because
bigger picture.
I mean, like you just said there, like in terms of Dave Allen, how many Northeast area level fighters would want that sort of security and things like that? And obviously you mentioned there, like MTK, they're playing, like they're getting bigger and bigger. They're having such a massive role in boxing at the moment. That must have been a pretty easy decision to to join.
Obviously, Tom Stalker manages me, and I went round and I had a few meetings.
I didn't know that.
People, and that's who it does, Tom Stalker.
Yeah.
So I went round and I spoke to like a few different people, and when I spoke to Tom, he'd boxed, he'd beaten the Olympics, and like in a sense, he'd gone into pros and it hadn't worked out for him. So he'd seen the promises when he turned pro as an Olympian, all the money thrown at him, to when he'd lost, and he'd seen the other side
and
of
how
it.
cruel it can be.
And the other side of it, so I just, in my head, I thought, well, there's a man there who's been in the ring, he's felt the pain, he's felt the pressure, he's felt that, like, when you're training, you're thinking about, right, I've got, like, I don't know, my bills this month, you're trying to get the gym twice a day, you're trying to go to work, you're trying to do all that. So I thought, there's someone who's been in the shoes I'm going into. So that was a massive factor for me as well. And everything like that, he has said, look, Adam, you'll get this for that fight, or this will happen, or that'll happen. It's been there, do you know what I mean? It hasn't been like, it's been like dangling a carrot, do you know what I mean? It's just been like, Adam, this is the crack, that's that, and that's what it's been. Do you know what I mean?
How did that come about? You just signing with MTK?
When I got
Had they seen you as an amateur, or?
When I'd got, obviously, someone had obviously messaged through with Tom and that, and Tom messages us saying, are you looking to turn professional? And it was like, I think it was when the Boxing News ranked was #1. I got like a few different messages on Instagram, Twitter and stuff like that. They're just saying, are you looking to turn pro? And I just messaged them all back. And my mind was set on going back in the ABAs, but I hated the amateurs toward the end. I just didn't.
Why was that?
You go to the amateur shows, and it's like, I don't mean to be like, it's a lot of like small-minded people. Do you know what I mean? Like, say for instance, someone might not like your coach, so before you've even got in the ring, you're round down. Do you know what I mean? Or you might go down the ABAs, and you might walk in a room, and you might walk in the room a certain way, and you'll have like the higher end of the amateur like scene sat there, and they'll all look down the nose at you, and you walk in and you just think, there's that atmosphere, and you just think, I'm here, I've like lived in the gym to get here, I've fought whoever in the, like, to get through the championships to get here, and I'm here, and you just don't feel welcome. Like, you just, do you know what I mean? You just don't feel, that's the way I felt. Like,
bizarre. Like, we've had limited exposure. We've seen a few local like amateur shows, so nothing on the national scale. And like, to be honest, we haven't seen any of that. But that's like as I say, we've been welcome guests of local clubs, and it's like the younger lads boxing and stuff. But I've heard obviously countless tales about similar to what you're talking about, actually, in terms of the decisions and.
Lights going. I
need to wave.
I don't know if this thing.
There we go.
I was boxing. I remember, like, me and Steve was in London, and I was in the semi-finals, and we're boxing a lad from the, I think it was the Red Triangle at Liverpool club.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of like England coaches from Liverpool, and we were warming up. And one of them said like little snarky remarks and that, and I remember just thinking like something about, oh, he's done this, oh, he sparred this one, and I remember just thinking like, stand, like so. And then I went out, obviously stopped him, and we come back, and it wasn't like, oh, well done. It was just like, he caught him with a lucky shot, and this, that, and the other, close fight till he knocked him out. And I was just thinking, just knocked him out. Do you know what I mean? What more can I do?
Yeah, exactly. You've answered that.
I just thought like towards the end.
Do you not think the pros can be a little bit like that as well, to a certain degree?
I found the pros a lot better. To be honest, like I found it a lot like everyone's like in the Northeast. I think everyone's just starting to build up. Like from officials and all that. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just really starting to come on top now, isn't it, the boxing? And I think everyone's just over the moon that we're starting to go in the direction we are. And it's just, for me, it's good to be a part of it, because you go to the shows and you're back, like you're getting weighed in or whatever. Everyone's like, oh, how you doing? And oh, it's like good show, and look how many people have you sold, many tickets, how many's coming, and it's all like, oh, it's like starting to like really like, it feels like you're part of something. Do you know what I mean? And you go out and them shows at the Eagles have been unbelievable.
Oh, you know I was just saying the same to Alex in the earlier one there, like it's such a good venue in terms of it's almost a step up from the normal small hall stuff. It's like a small scale arena show, isn't it, essentially?
It is. And
obviously that goes to MTK as well.
Your friends, your family and everything like that, like all turning up to watch you, and everyone's having like a good night. So you're getting out, they're getting the win, you're getting out the ring, and like you say, you're ticking boxes off with Dave saying do this, do that, you're getting out, you're happy, Dave's over the moon. Everyone who's come to watch is like, oh, I never thought it'd be like this. Do you know what I mean? And like I just thought it'd be like a little workman's club, or not like that, but as if in the sense of you wouldn't be allowed to shout, or you wouldn't be allowed to cheer, or be like sit down if they start cheering or whatever.
It's definitely none of that.
Everyone's getting rowdy and jumping up and away. It's a proper night out. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm over the moon to be part of it. Like
that must make it quite easier to shift tickets for you as well, if you can say you're fighting on those bigger shows.
Snowball effect. I'm not the biggest ticket seller in the world, but what it's starting to do is, like, someone will come and then they'll tell a friend or whatever. It's just snowballing. Do you know what I mean? It's just starting to really pick up now.
Oh, brilliant. I think we'll end that there, but obviously pleasure to speak to you there, mate. Get me words out, Adam. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.